it's TheFrXion here, Jagdtiger 12, however you call me. I don't really care, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Jagdtiger 88. This is a tier 8 German premium preferential matchmaking tank destroyer. That was quite a handful. And because of the Lunar Challenge, because of the marathon that is currently going on for the 122 TM, I thought about, just playing all the kinds of premium tanks I have in my garage that I haven't played too many games in. And then I found this gem again, the Jagdtiger 88. Now the Jagdtiger in World of Tanks is a vehicle that has a very long history of being extremely good on the one hand and being extremely bad on the other hand. Because the Jagdtiger, historically speaking, is supposed to be this super heavily armored superstructure with a 128mm gun, which is historically accurate, but was a huge, vehicle, a huge target, but everything would bounce off of that thing. Now the Jagdtiger, which is a tier 9 tank destroyer, well, at tier 9 that just doesn't really hold true. That thing, at the first time they brought it around into the game, was really easy to penetrate. The upper plate, the lower plate, everything about it was very weak. What was very strong about the Jagdtiger, and what still holds up today, is the upper plate right here. Although you have a 90-degree angle, it's very flat. These, like the upper compartment, is really strong actually. It's quite thick. With premium shells and with some certain non-premium shells at tier 10 and 9, I think you are going to be able to go through, but if you angle it just a little bit, this tank, you're going to be able to bounce that. But other than that, the Jagdtiger it had an amazing 128mm gun that it still owns today, and this 128mm gun just really had this punching, this really high damaging feature and great rate of fire. And the problem was just that the armor didn't hold up. So you had games where you did massive amounts of damage because you were able to sit in the back, because sometimes you were able to hide your lower plate. And then you had like terrible games where you would just do nothing, no damage at all, because you would get really devastated quite quickly. And it's like really interesting because it's like the game itself, like a real hit and switch. Sometimes your team just rolls over the other team, sometimes you get rolled by the other team, and it's quite interesting that it's also the same with the Jagdtiger. At least that was my initial thought when it first was introduced into the game. But the Jagdtiger actually has become a lot better. Everything about it is more balanced, the armor has been improved, the gun is still very punchy, and now I think it's in a very good place. The tier 9, that is. The tier 8 is also a very interesting thing, and now we're coming back to the Jagdtiger 88. The armor layout, I think, is almost the same or similar to the Jagdtiger, since it is basically the same chassis. The only difference is that you have an 88mm gun. Now the 88mm gun doesn't hold a candle to the 128mm gun in terms of alpha damage, in terms of penetration, obviously. But it's the rate of fire that makes this such a unique vehicle, and the fact that you have preferential matchmaking. I think this was one of the last tanks probably with preferential matchmaking introduced into the game, if I'm not mistaken, and it is quite a lovely tank. I really enjoy my Jagdtiger 88 because the rate of fire right there, I think it's about 5 seconds to reload a shell, really allows you to lay down or hold an entire kind of alleyway if you have to do it by yourself, because you have the rate of fire to challenge all of these vehicles. Obviously, if they are some really heavily armored tanks, such as maybe at tier 9, the Moisian, the German tier 9 heavy tank, you might face some issues. But other than that, I think the Jagdtiger 88 is one of those vehicles that is a lot of fun if you are able to, allow yourself to experiment and try out things with this, and not have not wanting the maximum alpha. It's very similar to the British tank destroyers, the premium ones at least, that the alpha is just not there, but you have the rate of fire. So back to the gameplay, you can see that we have lost the southern little town, and it's not looking very good for our team. We're currently down 3 tanks. They have more tier 9s than we have. They have 2 artillery pieces, and they're actually pushing me right now. But this is where this tank actually does shine. Now, as I mentioned previously, if you do get hit by a premium shell, a heat shell, whatever, and it goes right through there, and since the 90-degree angle is really flat, well, you're gonna have a bit of a bad time if those tier 9 premium tanks or tier 9 tanks start loading premium shells. That's exactly what happened right there. But the EBR Hotchkiss probably hasn't faced a lot of Jagdtiger 88. He's thinking I'm still on the reload. He doesn't realize that my reload is like much better than his, and he's going to peek again. But we have another problem. There's an M103 right over there, and we are not going to be able to pen and move standard rounds. We have to use premium shells. We have to hit the weak spot. So the EBR Hotchkiss comes around the corner again. He bounces us with AP, and I mean, in this situation, you don't really have to be afraid of anything if you're in a Jagdtiger, except for artillery, or maybe the M103 shooting high explosive anti-tank shells. So right here you can actually see that's a very interesting setup, because our team has decided to push into the middle right there, into the this little I'm not even sure, so can you call it crevice, in this little crevice. And there is a Stura Emil, that is a tier 7 German tank destroyer with a very nasty 128mm gun. But unfortunately at range, the Jagdtiger 88 doesn't really shine as much. But the rate of fire really makes up for it, and this Stura Emil is basically just toast. He cannot go anywhere. We know that he's right there still. Somebody spots him again. We miss, unfortunately, and he gets taken out. That was a very quick and easy... what was the HP of that Stura Emil? I'm not sure. I think it was 750 or maybe 800. So that was a real quick way to get rid of that HP. But unfortunately, our ST1 and the E75 have gotten themselves into an awkward position, and now we have to help them out. We just lost our ST1. The E75 has taken out the object for 30. And now we have the 50 TP and the Super Hellcat in the previous position where our E75 and the ST1 were. So it's a bit of an awkward shuffle. Now we're still a tank down. Now we're 2 tanks down because the E75 just died. We don't know where the WZ-121 FT is. We don't know where the artillery is. But we're thinking that the artillery might be repositioning. And I'm trying to proxy spot this M103 because the artillery needs to help me out. If we can take out this M103, I'm going to be kind of free to maybe reposition a little bit. This tank is not the fastest, but it's also not the slowest, to be fair. Now we've just realized the artillery must be behind us. He must be sitting somewhere back there because the shot came right from behind. And with that indicator, you should know that, well, it must be coming from somewhere behind us. So I think I did ping the M103. The M12 takes a pop, but he doesn't hit us. We're very lucky in this game that artillery didn't really focus us at all. And the 2 shots that they have fired at us have gone short. So with that going for us, but this M103, I don't understand. This M103 just decides to, he has had enough. He's going to roll in with 532 HP. He knows that I have a very high rate of fire. He comes around the corner, he puts one into me, but I still have 1000 HP remaining, so he has to put at least 3 shells into me, and he needs to high roll to be effective. And well, he just kind of threw that advantage that he had with the turret right at me. There's the 50 TP. We managed to take him out with a nice little snipe, and now it's only the WZ-121 FT versus the 4 of us. And this is really weird. This guy wasn't around for the entire game. I'm the first one who spotted him. He drove right into the tank, and he gets backwards penned by the SU-152 with high explosive. That is really nasty. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Only artillery remaining. And a really weird ending to this game. Don't really get it. They decided to suicide, which is very, very weird in that sense. But yeah, we managed to turn it around, and the Jagdtiger 88 was successful in this game. Look at that. The aim time and just the reload time is such an important thing. You know, having a good rate of fire is so important in World of Tanks, and it's just one of the reasons why I'm not going to be grinding the 122 TM, because although you can buff it to maybe 13.8 seconds per shot, it's still not good enough at tier 8 when you're going up against so many tanks that just have such a better rate of fire than you. Well, I'm not really going to be that interested in you know, unlocking a vehicle that is just so much work, so much hassle, to not really be that kind of competitive in the scene. But yeah, well, that wraps this game up. I hope you guys did enjoy. The Jagdtiger 88, certainly a very interesting vehicle, really unique kind of look at the Jagdtiger, having an 88mm gun instead of the 128mm gun that usually the Jagdtiger carries. And it is actually, with preferential matchmaking, it's really good. It's quite a viable option, very competitive, and yeah, I can't praise it enough. I really enjoy it. Have been using it quite a while now, and every once in a while I do take my tank destroyers, even my premium ones, out for a spin. Although I don't play a lot of premium tanks, I don't play a lot of premium tank destroyers because I don't really enjoy the sitting back mechanics of it. But still, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.